Let's have a conversation.
What's up, y'all? Good evening. Let's have a conversation about tonight's episode. So, again, for me, once you become a live feeder, these episodes do not provide you much aside from seeing definitely who stays or goes. I fully understand now why they cut out the live feeds. I was watching the live feeds up until about 1 or 2 p.m., and that's when they cut off for me. So I understand that 6 hours or so, 7 hours, whatever it is before the show starts, why they're not showing live feeds. Because usually, especially in the first few weeks of the show, the results are definitive. So we were like, okay, is it going to be, I felt pretty sure that it was Riley going home, but we were discussing, like, is it going to be 9 votes to 3 because they're going to get Jag and Blue and Matt? Or are they going to, because they were showing this whole thing of Jag listing out the alliance and being like, we just need one vote. We just need one vote. Big Brother production loves trying to make things sound and look like they're supposed to be dramatic when everybody in the house already knows what's going on. They just cut that out of the feeds. Hey, Lillian, if you have been watching the live feeds, you haven't missed much of anything, to be honest. Hello, Miss Snappy Kid. Oh, y'all were early. These are not... Am I on mute? Audio. Mic. I'm not on mute. Can everybody hear me? Are you hearing me, Miss Snappy Kid? I don't think the house was really divided. I think that what happened was that, Cerie's group decided that they were going to vote out Riley, and they were playing like that's not what was going to happen because they were not trying to alert the Jag side, because now I call it the Jag side, that they were going against him and going against his side. They don't want to make it obvious because as far as Jag and Blue know, they are still somewhat working together. Audio is good. They were still somewhat working together. That's the thing about this house, is that there are sides and divides, but on the Cerie side, they're holding their cards better than the other side. Now, the thing is, with Riley gone, it's a number for them and it's a shield for them, but at the same time, it kind of benefits Jag's side a little bit because now people are not going to know all their moves. But on the other hand, if somebody that is not named Jag or Blue, or, well, I don't know if Cameron's working with them, but I feel like those two are a little bit on an island right now because they had this big 8-person alliance. As much as we don't like the way that Heisem was acting and talking, he did pretty much dismantle that alliance by saying, I know all 8 members that are in this group, and I know your side alliances, and I know your 2s, your 3s, and your 5s. And then it was like, oh, well, everybody knows everything. So there goes that. Oh, okay. That's good. I was hoping that it was not that I was having an issue. But yeah, I guess I'll get into the episode a little bit. It wasn't anything new or surprising, but at the beginning of the episode, it was showing this montage of all the different conversations that Heisem was having it was showing people saying that they thought that his veto speech was too much and personal, which I still think that they cut out parts of the veto speech, because the veto speech did not sound that crazy to me, but I did hear them talking about the veto speech for hours and saying Heisem is too much, he said too much, and it showed him apologizing for hours. So just based on him saying, you caused the house divide and you caused us to split prematurely, and hopefully they vote you out so that we can reestablish relationships in this house. Like, was it the nicest thing to say? No. Was it the craziest thing to say? No. So I think that production spared Heisem by cutting out whatever else he said in the speech. And here's the thing. I remember multiple times on the live feeds watching Heisem tell people that pretty white heterosexual females get a pass. And I'm pretty sure that he probably put some of those things into his veto speech, quite honestly, because I heard him say that several times to several people, that pretty white heterosexual females get a pass. And I didn't know why he was doing and saying all that. I mean, you're adding all these things to kind of add flame to the fire. I mean, obviously, there are some things that make life easier for people. I'm not even going to lie about that. But the thing is, I'm not going to base it just on who they are. I'm going to base it upon their actions. So just throwing all those things out there and trying to pin all that stuff on a person is wrong. Is just flat out wrong. It's just flat out wrong. And obviously she's out of the house by unanimous vote. So what are you talking about? And I'm a little bit upset. I wanted Riley out. I was never really rooting for Riley, but at the same time, I just did not want to see them fulfill his wishes. And granted, I'm not in the house. I know that they're all worried about him being furious at them. But if the whole house as a united front was like, we want you out, what is he going to do? Win every competition to the end? No. You know what I mean? Like, the whole house feels a way about him, but all of them were scared to go against him. And yeah, it just showed him having all those different conversations. What we weren't sure about was what Matt, Jag, and Blue were going to do, because production made it look like they were rallying. I shouldn't say it made it look like they were rallying. They were clearly rallying. We saw them on the feeds. Like, we just need to get this one vote. We just need to get this one vote, especially Jag. I'm wondering to myself if these conversations with Jared set up any red flags for any of that side, whatever you want to call them, whatever that side is, the side that's not on Cerie's side. Because Jared was acting like he wanted to keep Riley in the house. But like I said earlier, I don't think that Jared had any horse in that race. It was like either one of them can go. And once he saw that, it was looking like Riley was going to go, he was like, Riley's going out. No emotions towards that. Matter of fact, aside from like Matt and Jag, none of them even really looked terribly sad to make that vote, to be quite honest. You know how when they usually look at the memory wall and when it goes gray, they're like, oh my God, I'm so sad. It was just like, well, on to the next one. They did not seem pressed or moved at all. Except for like Matt and Jag, but mostly Matt. Hey, Tammy. I think Haisam was definitely jealous of her because he was just throwing things out there. Um, yeah, she was not on your side, and she might have thrown your name out there, but it was not crazy personal like you're making it sound. Like I'm specifically targeting Hi Sam of all people. It's just that she wasn't aligned with him. That's all it was. That happens. You're not going to be aligned with the whole house. It felt like it. They discussed targeting him, and Blue said she wants to be the. Really? When did that happen? Was this after that conversation they had? Because if it was, it could have been one of those turning point conversations where he turned her off with what he was talking about. Or it could be Blue trying to save face with Jag because Blue is actually not specifically aligned with Jared. Blue is not specifically aligned with Jared, game wise. They've just been talking. I mean, they kind of talk to each other, but it's weird to me. It's on some like Mr. and Mrs. Smith type stuff. What's up, MILF man? Yeah, I know. Jag was so determined. Jag especially was so determined. Riley, I mean, Blue was kind of like she's doing too much, like I'm willing to cut my losses type of thing. But I don't know about anyone else, but I hope McCole wins the next HOH. Oh my goodness, I would love Miko and Mama Felicia. Those are two people that I would be so excited if they just threw the game for a loop and won an HOH. Those are two people I'd love for either of them to win. Yeah, I saw that. I saw that when she was saying that Riley is talking too much. It happened yesterday. They think he's playing both sides. To Cameron? That's an insult to get compared to Cameron. Oh no, that is an insult. I would never want to be compared to Cameron. He is playing both sides though, obviously. We know that. We America know that he's playing both sides. And I don't think he's doing the greatest job of playing both sides. Like in the beginning, yeah, but I think Jared talks too much. The episode sucks. I can't stand followers. Me neither. Jag or Corey. I can't root for Jag or Corey. I mean, I don't dislike them. I just can't root for them because I would worry about Sari, and I'm a Sari stan. So therefore, I would be scared if one of those two won. Even though I don't think that, I don't know. I don't think she would be Jag's primary target, but I would be very worried if Corey got it for sure. I'd be very worried. Clearly, there is more than enough votes to keep Riley. Why are they scared of someone who has no power next week? Yeah, exactly. I'm not rooting for them. I think it would be fun. It would be fun, but it would be scary for me. It would be scary for me at the same time. I would be worried for the people that I'm rooting for. That's one thing about me and these shows. As neutral as I am in general, like I kind of watch the game in a neutral way. I get really sad when the people that I am rooting for are out. I felt that way a little bit about Kirsten, not a lot, because she wasn't there long enough for me to feel that strongly. But I felt that way because when Julie's like, "What would you feel like If I told you, and I'm like, battle back, battle back. And then she's like, that there's a relationship in the house. And I'm like, oh. As soon as Julie talks about there's a secret relationship in the house, I'm like, this person can't come back. This person can't come back. The first person that Julie does not say there's a secret relationship in the house, that's the person that I'm like, they're in a redemption house or something. I don't like a boring game where they share a brain. Well, it's not a boring game so far. They tried to share a brain, but the person's brain they tried to share just got out tonight. So is the 8-person alliance on Riley? It is. It is. Like I said, Heisem dismantled it. I mean, I don't like the way he talked to anybody, but let's be real. The fact that he got into all those meetings and was like, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is your whole alliance. These are the people you're working for with. You know, and then they admitted it. Yeah, that's true. I'm like, what are you doing, Riley? Haven't you guys learned that part of Big Brother is lying? You have to lie to win Big Brother. Like, you know that, right? You can't win Big Brother without lying. Unless there was some season that I watched that you guys can let me know if there was some season I didn't see that somebody told the truth from beginning to end and didn't and won. Maybe I just don't get the game. I don't know. Sari was disappointing because if she decided she wanted to keep Riley, then Jared, Felicia, and Izzy would follow. Am I wrong? Yeah, and that's what was going to happen. But it got switched up. It got switched up. I think that they were put off by Riley talking so much, and then they also got a little bit of fear for whatever reason about Heisem. I feel like about half they are playing too hard, and I would say more than half. The only people that I would say are not playing too hard, in my opinion, at this moment, America, Mimi, let me see, Corey, um, America, Mimi, Corey. Is there somebody else? I thought I had somebody else in my head. America, Mimi. It might just be those three, but I thought I had a fourth person in my head that is not playing too hard. But most of them to me are playing too hard. Most. The majority. There's only a few to me that are not playing too hard. After last night, Jag May put Sari and Izzy up. He was mad that they weren't willing to go all out. Yeah, I saw that. I do kind of remember him being upset about that. Then Jared told them they were trying to force people to vote for Riley. Edward, when Felicia decided not to do it, I was disappointed because on Survivor she was more strategic. I mean, Sari. Well, the thing about Sari on Survivor versus Sari here is Sari has one person that she's playing with that she has to play with, which is her son. And then she has another person that she was forced to play with to keep her secret safe. So I feel like if you took Izzy, even if you just took Izzy out of the equation, like Izzy does not go up to her and be like, oh, I know you and I know that Jared's your son. I think we would see a whole different game from Sari. But that's why Sari is having all these conversations with Izzy, and like when Izzy decides to flip something, she kind of goes with it because she said on episode 1, my number one goal right now is making sure that Izzy trusts me, because she has seen Izzy go off on everybody in the house other than her. So it's like, if Izzy says, I think that I want things to go this way, and Cerise strongly is like, no, I want them to go that way, and they're arguing, she's probably thinking in the back of her mind, I don't want to piss her off. I don't want Izzy to turn on me because that could be the end of my game right then and there. Bowie is just happy to be there. Bowie is happy to be there and is taking this like a vacation where she can work out. Like she's always just chilling, laughing, and working out. Like I just feel like she's somebody who they will just keep along, keep on board. I don't know. Maybe she's gonna jump into a strong alliance or something. But just looking at her, anytime I see her on the feeds, she's chilling, she's laughing, or she's exercising. I hardly see her strategizing. And even when Jag was like, "Hey, I'm asking everybody who doesn't mind not playing the Beto and going to the Nether region," she's like, "Sure, why not? I'll go to the Nether region. I don't have to play the Beto. Who cares?" Bowie is chilling. Chilling. I mean, I guess it's working so far because nobody's even talking about her going up for nomination. Nobody's saying she's a snake. Nobody's saying she plays both sides of the fence. Nobody's saying anything about her. They're like, oh, Bowie's in the house. I agree. So it was Izzy that did not want Riley there. Edward Simmons, we definitely. Actually, Bowie was probably the fourth person that I had on my mind that is not playing too hard. I said America. I said Mimi. I said Corey, and Bowie. I think was the fourth person. I just couldn't think of her because she's she's chilling and makes me forget that she's there. I only remember she's there when they shift to the backyard and they show her holding the weights and doing the farmer's carries, walking around in the circles. Yeah, that's when I remember that Bowie is there. And Matt's not really playing that hard either, but I find that to be quite honest, I love Matt, but Matt has a lot to overcome in that house. I heard rumors about um, the veto competition, and I believe them because I'm sitting there wondering, with the way that he's described his hearing, how he did a competition where he had to put the headphones over his ears and then go by like specific verbal cues on where he was supposed to get those clues in the room. And I heard that they messed that up for him because they did not accommodate him properly. And I heard that it took him an extremely long time to finish that. And that was the reason why, you know how typically they show everybody's time. This person finished in this person finished in this one finished in this. To like a production special was to only show the top 3 times. And I heard that he was crying because of like the fact that it just wasn't catered to him at all. I don't know how much of that is true, but I definitely like I already was looking at it thinking, how did he do that so well? So Matt is severely disadvantaged in this game. I felt really bad for him, particularly when I saw him having this conversation with Jag. I don't know. Some of y'all probably saw the conversation he had with Jag last night, where he was just like, Riley is the person who listens to me. She's the one that includes me. We stay up late at night having all these conversations, and she makes me feel like seen and heard in the house. You know, like I felt really, 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 really bad for him losing Riley for that reason. And I think that not because he's bad at the game, but literally because of his hearing deficiency and the fact that there's not a lot being done about accommodations. And even though I know people love posting that article that they did so much to accommodate, they've never had a deaf person in the house as far as I know. I think he's the first one. So they're kind of learning on the fly. And then the way he keeps describing it when he talks to people is that he isn't included. Because he doesn't hear peripherally, and it all sounds like murmurs. When the group is in there having discussions, it's like nothing to him unless somebody actually pulls him aside and is like, let me talk to you and keep you abreast of what's going on. Let me see. Sorry, I missed all these comments. Izzy's only real saving grace is her knowing about Sari and Jared. I know that is her only saving grace, because with the way she's playing, if she did not have Sari on her side, she'd be out of here. If you're playing hard week 2, most of them are playing terrible games because most of them are playing extremely hard. Corey has turned around his game this week. I totally agree. He's downplayed his threat level. Riley's a 10th house guest that has won the first HOH to go pre-jury. And you know, the last 2 did the same thing. I'm pretty sure. I think I saw a graphic that Daniel won HOH last year and went home the week after, and Frenchie won HOH the first week and then went home the next week. So that's 3. That's 3 in a row that's happened. Wow, I didn't know that about that. I didn't know about that. Poor Matt. Yeah, like I don't want to feel bad for Matt. I don't feel bad for Matt in general because I know that he's an amazing athlete and he's overcome so much, with the speech therapy. It's amazing that he's able to communicate the way that he does. But in terms of in the Big Brother game, yes, I do feel bad for him because I just think that the odds are just so stacked against him. Riley didn't say Sari, Izzy, and Felicia were part of our alliance. She'd only say, "I'll protect you." Riley slipped and said Jag, Blue, and Matt were her people to Sari. But the thing is, that was already well known. Heisem knew it. Felicia had a conversation with Riley last week where she was like, "Who are you aligned with?" And she listed out those names. So Riley was, I think I'm telling you guys, Riley was not good for Jag's game at all. As much as Jag liked her and wanted her to stay, I don't think Riley was good for his game. And I think Jag having to scramble a little bit this week might actually make him position himself better because he was catering his whole strategy around keeping his girl safe. Riley is also the 5th house guest. Yeah, so she's on a streak 3 in a row, like I said. So she's part of that streak of 3. Frenchie, Daniel, her. Frenchie, Daniel, and her. The win the first HOH curse. The last person to win the first HOH and not go home was what's his name? Cody. Season 22. And season 22 was the first season that I actually caught the season while it was on. But the thing with that was an all-star season. So that's the reason why he wanted to win first. I remember him specifically saying, "This is an all-star season. I want to come in here and set the tone." So it's not like he's coming in there as an unknown. Coming in there as an unknown and being like, "I want to let everybody know how good I am at these competitions." Never a good idea. Never a good idea. And even if you do happen to win, you downplay your threat level. She was not doing that. She was like, "We're going to dominate. We're going to let them know. I don't want anyone to think that they can lie to my face. We're going to make this big alliance, and then we're just going to knock them off one by one, blah, 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 blah." Like, once they start talking like that, they're out of there. I don't dislike Jag, but I'm not rooting for Jag either. So I would not be mad about Jag going home. I like Jag. I personally like Jag. I think he's a good guy. I don't have any problem with him. I'm just not with him because he's against the people that I want to see win the game. That's it. But if he won the game, I also wouldn't be mad. I would salute him for his good gameplay because frankly, he doesn't have the numbers at this point. So for Jag to win from here, which is possible, it's not like he's out of the running, but for him to win from here, he needs somebody more than just Blue. Like he needs to form a group that is going to be willing to take out the others as they kept calling them. Cody and exactly. I didn't see that episode, but I clearly remember him saying that in the diary when he was like, "I've already been here. I'm setting the tone. It's an all-star season." It's totally different than being a brand new person and being like, "Yo, I want to let everybody know right away that I'm such a strong, badass competitor that can take anyone out." And I remember she was talking about Janelle, man. I'm like, how dare you? I'm like, how dare you even bring that name up after winning one competition that like half the house was throwing? I'm like, you are gonna eat some humble pie next week. Come on now. Y'all recruits know nothing about this game. I mean, I know she said I remember she listed out like some of the bigger players, but I don't think that she really watched the seasons like that. I really don't. Cody wanted to win the first HOH to get rid of Janelle because it was obvious I've heard Cody himself had plenty of preseason alliances, quite honestly. And I like Cody, but they said that Cody was talking to everybody. They said that Cody was talking to everybody. If I were Sari and the rest about getting rid of Heisam, I would let the other side handle the situation or wait until jury time. Well, I think that it's more likely that the other side wins HOH, quite frankly. Oh, by the way, I hate this new thing that they're doing where they're not even showing a piece of the HOH competition. So it's like they just show the elimination, they show that little piece of interview, and then they're like, tune in Sunday to see what happened in the HOH. I'm like, thank God I watched the live feeds, because if I was somebody who was still just watching the produced episodes, I would be pissed to not even so much as know what the competition is until Sunday. Like I just sit here from Thursday to Sunday like, what's the competition? Who won? I'm just dying for these cats to get off the live feed so that I can see who won the HOH competition. Because that's what I want to know. Who the hell won the HOH competition? This is such a big game changer for what's going to happen this week. And we got to wait to even see what the competition was. If I'm not mistaken, last year, I know that the last couple years they would start the competition, right? Yes, it would run out. They would only show us 4 to 5 minutes of it, but then like an hour later, I could go on Twitter, and then on Twitter it would be like this and this person won. Like I would know right away. Now it's like I'm pretty sure the competition is done. Like the episode finished. Well, I mean, some competitions are long, but I just feel like it's probably done by now. The episode was done like an hour and 40 minutes ago. I think that the HOH competition's probably done. They just don't want us to know or hear anything for a while. And then Julie has the nerve to be like, the 24 hours, the 24/7 live feed. Sign up for Paramount Plus for the 24/7 live feeds. I'm like, y'all give us about 16 hours at best, Julie. Stop lying. Y'all need to make that $7.50 instead of $9.99. Where was I? Off of my live feed rant. I don't think Jag likes anybody. I agree, America. And he liked Riley. I found that he had a couple of, in my opinion, like disingenuous conversations with people about, like, his religion. Like, I don't think that what he was saying was untrue, but when he approached Izzy randomly to talk about that, and it was like, so I'm sharing this with you. What are you gonna share with me? It felt really gamey to me. Felt really like game. And I can see the difference between the way he talks to people that he really genuinely likes versus people that he's trying to strategize with. I don't think he likes Jared neither. As much as he talks to Jared, I really don't think that he likes Jared like that. I don't think he dislikes Jared, but I just don't really think that he likes Jared all that much. Yeah, we're still on the cats, Edward. We're still on the cats. We are still on these sleeping cats. This kitten that they keep showing is always asleep. If it's the same one they keep showing, I've memorized the kitten. That's how much they show the feeds. I have memorized this tabby cat that is always asleep. The two little toys in the corner usually look untouched. I would show you guys, but they'll probably block me for that too. You cannot show the cats. YouTube is like production. YouTube is like production. I wish YouTube had a voice that talked to me, so at least they would be funny or something. You cannot show Big Brother live feeds. You cannot talk about our copyright strikes that we give you. You cannot let anyone know about our threats that we send you every day. And that was my YouTube rant about how YouTube is trying to play me. But yeah, I'm very interested to see how this week goes. I'm very interested to learn whenever they decide to put the live feeds back up. That was one of my most exciting things last year, was on Thursdays, like about an hour after the show was finished, they would put the live feeds back up. And then we would watch them actually going in, and they would allow us to see the whole HOH thing, where the person was like, who wants to see my HOH room? And they would show us uncensored, unfiltered, everybody running up to the room, opening up the door. They would show us, we would be able to watch them reading their letter from home. We would be able to watch them show all the pictures of whoever, family, whatever, and we would see them crying and all that. I don't think that we saw that with Heisam, did we? I mean, I think I saw them in the HOH room, but I don't think they showed us an uncut thing, like beginning to end, of them just finding out. They're cutting so much out, is my point. They're making what they're showing us on those live feeds shorter and shorter. We still have them, but they are less. Let me check this out. I'm not leaving, by the way, Edward. I don't know if you're leaving, but I'm still on here. I'm on here as long as y'all are on here. Jag doesn't like Jared or Matt. He wants to be the center of attention for the hot girls. Who are the hot girls? I don't know who the hot girls are. Who do you want the least and who do you want the most? Well, the most, I would say the two that I mentioned before, Mama Felicia and Who was the other one? Oh, Mimi. I would love to see. Mimi is probably the number one that I would love to win the most because I would love to see what the heck she would do with that power. And least is probably probably Jag, just because of him being on the opposite of who I want to see win. Like I keep saying, I miss the H. Yeah, like you were there when we were sitting up watching. We would be able to watch 1 hour after the show went off the TV because I'd be like, okay, the live feeds are going to be down for 1 hour while they play the comp, and then as soon as they put them back up, I'm going to jump on here and we're going to watch the whole thing of when they go in the HOH room, read the letter, and all that stuff. Now they're not doing that anymore. They're cutting it. They're cutting everything shorter and shorter. They want us to see less and less, and they're not putting it into the live episode in the episode. If you guys have noticed, because it's not a thing where it's like, okay, they're cutting it out of the feeds, but then they're putting it in the episode for us to see. Like Heisem's speech, they just cut it, and we don't know what he really said, and we probably will never know because of those contracts that they signed. They'll probably just allude to the fact that it was really rude and nasty. I'm getting to your question, Edward. Would have a small alliance of, are you talking about if I was in the house? So if I was in the house, I said this the other day. I would have a small alliance. Like the small alliance is the thing that benefits you the most, but you also have to have multiple layered alliances. So in theory, I think that Riley was doing the right thing. She was just way too loud about it, honestly. If she was able to like not tell people about every single detail of what she was doing, she could have pulled that off. She did a smart thing by being like, my core people are Jag and Blue. And then like we need people on the outskirts that are gonna help us win competitions and take people out. Because look at it, that's what the Hitmen did, right? They were like, we have our agreement and our alliance. As much as people don't like Big D or think that Big D didn't do anything gameplay wise, X was smart. He made a final two with Big D, and then it was just like, I'm gonna have Kyland around to like knock people out because he wants to be a comp beast and a legend. Like let Kyland do that, and once there's a chance to take him out, we take him out. Although I will accredit most of that to X, obviously. Center of attention. What hot girl is checking him out? He's 25 but looks 45. Allison Grodner sucks. She is ruining what was once must-see TV. What would you do, Edward? Oh, I agree with you, you said. Riley and Blue are the hot girls. My sarcasm. Oh, you made that name. I thought they were saying that in the house. I agree with you, Mark. I mean, Kyland was solid on the game, but he just made a critical error of thinking that X wasn't going to do the best thing for X's game at the end. That was it. But even Hannah said that. Hannah was like, we as a whole, like, she said the cookout as a whole needed Kylan because Kylan was taking on a lot of those comp wins. Kylan was taking a lot of those comp wins, and if he wasn't winning and people outside of the cookout were winning more competitions, then it would have been harder for them to keep them intact because then they would have to keep convincing several non-cookout HOH members to take out other non-cookout members. So because he was winning a lot, he was in power a lot and able to actually put the people in those seats. For me, I'm not so much worrying about big alliance. They do. And everybody, I think anybody who is very good at Big Brother knows that the thing to do is to find your core person or people but then foster relationships with the people who are not in your alliance. Derek said this on the winner circle one time. He was like, I was working with Cody, like Cody was my main person that I knew was going to ride with me to the end. But he was like, I was talking to everybody. I was telling them personal stories. I was connecting with everybody because the more they know about you personally, is the harder it's going to be for them to kick you out. And you guys might think it's messed up, right? But I'm going to use an example of like Jasmine talking about her dad. You know what I mean? And y'all know that I lost my dad. So I'm not saying this in any kind of a negative way, but her coming in there and saying my reasoning for being in this house is because my dad was a big brother fan and I just lost him. And I'm in the house and he's my motivation for being in the house, right? You tell somebody that story, as much as it's a game, you still have feelings. So it becomes hard because you're like, even though that person is not on my side or I'm not playing with them, they have such a compelling reason for being here. Whereas if you're just sitting in there and you're like, I love this game, I'm a fan of this game, and but you're not really revealing anything about yourself on a personal level, it's easy for people to cut ties with you. The proof is in the pudding. Kyland did not know how to. He sure did not. They were comparing him to Heisem in those HOH meetings, and I definitely understand. Kylan was really condescending. He was extremely condescending to people. Maybe not as much as Heisem, because I think that in the case of Kylan, like if you circle back to him and explain it to him and he has time to think about it, he's more apologetic. Whereas, I mean, I know Heisem apologized to a degree, but even with his apology, you kept watching. If you keep watching him, he continued on and on and on and on with these conversations, blah, blah, blah. I could just imagine him at work, the way he probably talks to his nurses. I throw my feelings in the trash before I go in the house. She tells me that I won't give a crap because in my head, I'll be like, how does that put money in my pocket? But I still think it's a great strategy to have something to be like, that was an extreme example, but to be like, I'm playing for my kids back home. I'm playing for my mom who's sick. I want to win this money for such and such. Xavier, like, you know, my brother was killed and I have my nephew that I'm trying to put this money in his college fund because I promised that I would take care of him. You tell people those stories in the Big Brother house, and even if they are not aligned with you, they feel bad about sending you home and they think twice about sending you home. So I think that you really have to do that. Like you stick close with your alliance, but you make bonds with others. And as like Tammy was talking about Blue has the potential to be the most savage player in this game. Do I think that she's the most savage player in this game at this moment? No. But what I'm trying to say is she's got that guy Jared's heart on a string right now. And he is on a side of the house that she's not on. So imagine, because I'm already watching Jared slipping when he's talking to her. I don't know why he would tell her already. He had a conversation with her last night where he was like, I have a big secret that I wish that I could tell you that I know is going to F us up, you and me. And she's like, what is it? Is it a girl that you got back home? He's like, no, it's not that, but it's something that I know is going to mess us up. It's the second week in the house, and he's already telling her that, which is already planting a seed of doubt in her head. Like, what secret could that be? The fact that he's even saying that to her already tells me that he's considering throwing his game away. For sure, America, then. I agree. The nurse comes in there. She does all the work. She does all the paperwork. The doctor just comes in, prescribes you the medications. Plus, there's a part of me that will be like, is the person lying to me? You know what, though? Big Brother, Big Brother casts are notorious liars. And they'll be like, on my mama's soul, on my dead dog, on my dead grandma. And I'm like, yo, y'all will swear on anything. Like your grandma's soul is standing next to you. Like, what are you talking about? You lying. He said this last night. They were laying down. Which room was that? I think it's that room where they do the nominations, and they were laying down on the couch together, and they were having a conversation about relationships and if they think that they're gonna last, blah blah blah. He was asking her um, how many people that she's slept with, and if she slept with the last person that she was with before she came in the house. She wasn't answering him. Rightfully so. That's her right. But during that conversation is when he said that he has a secret that is going to mess them up. A secret that he's sure is going to mess them up, but he can't tell her until he feels like he trusts her. She asked, he said the level that he trusts her out of 10 is a 5 or a 6. And she said the level that she trusts him out of 10 is a 4 or a 5. I'm like, damn, that's low. Y'all don't trust each other. Y'all do not trust each other. I'd be the one swearing on the Bible, lying my ass off. That's why I wouldn't trust anyone with that story. No honor amongst thieves. No piece of apple worth $750,000. That's what I'm saying. This is why when I was watching Kyle crying last year about Alyssa before they got back together. I was like, oh, if you don't stop crying, she has no horse in this race. If you do what your alliance wants you to do, talk to her when you leave the house. If she doesn't understand and thinks that you should have chosen her over the game, then use the $750,000 and find somebody else. It will be a lot easier with the money. And they didn't even stay together anyways. They took a vacation. The fans paid for the vacation, and they broke up right afterwards. That was crazy. By the way, y'all, for those who don't know, plugging in that I have my interview that I did with Turner. I'm gonna post that on Saturday. The interview was bussin'. The interview with Turner is so funny because everybody else that I asked to do an interview with me, I waited a minimum of like, I think the fastest one that I ever got was like 1 month. Every interview that I ever got from a reality TV person, the fastest one I ever got was like 1 month after I asked them, or 1 month after they agreed. I'm talking about from the time they agreed to do it to the time they actually do it. The fastest time was 1 month, right? That was Chaz from The Circle. He was like, I got March, whatever. Showed up on that day. We did the interview. Turner, I asked him to do this thing in the Hannah interview where I was like, oh, I got a question from a fan, and the fan is him, right? So he jumps into that. He does that for me. And then I sent it to him, and he was like, yo, that's so dope, man. I love that. So I was like, it would be cool if I got to interview you too. And he was like, yeah, man, let's do it. So I'm like, yeah, so can you send me your next 3 upcoming earliest availabilities within the next 2 weeks? Because that's how I've been doing it with them, knowing that they're always busy and knowing that they always cancel all the time. And he was like, oh, well, how about right now, dude? And I'm looking at the time. I'm like, it's 10:30 at night on a Saturday. I'm very tired. I did my interview with Hannah that same day, and then I came on here and did like multiple lives. And I really didn't want to do it at that time, but I'm like, you know what? I don't have no questions for this guy, but I'll make the whole interview up on the spot. And I think it was like an hour and change. And I think it was a good interview. I do, but I will let the people decide on that. I always want the people to decide. I never want people to tell me something is good just because they support me. Let me know whatever you feel about it one way or another. I would also note that it is, man, it is. So this is what I was saying too, Edward. Being smart does not guarantee that you are going to be good on Big Brother. And what I mean by that is like being book smart. Sometimes people are too smart for their own good because like Heisem, I think that like book smart wise, Heisem is a genius, but he has a terrible read on how to play the game, like terrible read on how to play the game, because you are not just playing the game, you're playing the house, you're playing your opponent. You have to have a pretty good read on what's going on in other people's minds. You have to have a good pulse on the game, and he doesn't have that. When I'm on BB next year, you can interview me that same week. I agree with you 100%, Edward Simmons. Unfortunately, most people don't have common sense. And I knew that Riley was going to be out soon. I did not know whether it was going to be the very next week, but I said, you can watch my lives back. I was like, I will give Riley 2 more weeks after this HOH at the most. And a lot of you were on here when I said that. I'm like, if she makes it past this week somehow, she's going next week. She's doing too much, saying too much, and playing too hard. And I'm saying the exact same thing about Heisem. The only thing that is going to prevent Heisem from going home next week is winning that veto. That's the only thing that can prevent Heisem from going home. The only thing I'm curious about is who's going to take the shot. Matter of fact, I'm still seeing the cats on the feed. You know what? They're probably not going to show the feed until after they show the West Coast. And the West Coast is 3 hours behind. So they showed, it was at 9 to 10 Eastern time. So I guess they're just showing the episode now on the West Coast. Yeah, because right now it'd be 9 o'clock Pacific time. So I would say probably around like 1 or 2 then. They're probably going to show the live feeds. Thanks, Batman. That's what I thought. Yeah, so probably like an hour after the West Coast one shows is when they're going to show the live feeds again. Where are we? BB is about street smarts and common sense, yeah, which most people don't have. BB proves that every year. Shout out to this chat, by the way. This is probably the most lit my chat has been this season so far. I don't know what do you think that Red would do if he wins HOH? Because I really don't have a read on Red, to be honest. I don't know who he's with. I don't know like what his allegiance is. I have no clue. She doesn't seem to have a problem taking shots. She wanted Riley out. She was very sure about that. She's very happy with that. She didn't shed a tear in that voting thing at all. So I clearly think that she would have zero issue taking a shot at Heisem, to be honest with you. Really? Who do you think he would go for? Nicole might take the shot because of her alliance with the BBB. I think she would. Where are you, by the way, Batman? California? Gotham City? Just kidding. Red is in the professors. Red is loosely in the professors. I have felt like Red has just been in the professors to get the professors information. And I think that they treat him like that too. Like Red is technically in the professors, but we just want to keep him close. If McCall wins, I hope she doesn't let BBB infect her own game. I don't think she will. I think McCall came into the game with that same mentality that Milfman is talking about, where she's like, I'm in this game for myself and by myself. Anything that I do is not for anyone. I'm not buddy buddy with everyone. I'm not I love you, hugging everyone up. You're my best friend. You're gonna be my best friend outside of this house. She plays the game very businesslike to me, very businesslike and very emotionless. The most emotions I ever see her have is at nighttime when she's in the kitchen by herself, like the math ain't mathin'. What's wrong with these people? Why are we crying? Why are we crying? It's week 2. Why is anybody crying? I don't get it. I am dead whenever I watch McCall by herself. Agreed. Red is at the bottom of that alliance, and I think he knows it too. I think he knows that he's at the bottom of that alliance, and he's kind of like, I think that he's like, I'm not gonna ruffle feathers until it's time to make a move. But I think that the thing with this house is that a lot of them are scared to make the move. So that's going to be the interesting thing to see what happens for real versus what happens in. It's different in theory and in concept. McCall is likable. She's hilarious. She's hilarious on the feeds. Like Izzy had this whole big conversation with her where she was trying to flip her to vote out Cameron. And she's like, why would we be voting? She said to herself afterwards, like, why would we vote out Cameron? Who does Cameron have in the house? She was she was like, Riley was able to rally a whole big group to switch and flip the votes. Like she has so many people on her side and you don't know what she's gonna do. It makes no sense. That's when she said the math ain't mathin'. I'm actually trying to look on Twitter to see if any one of these like spoiler pages happens to know who won HOH. Probably not. Yeah, it's looking like no. It is looking like no. Yeah, we probably won't know until like at least I'll be asleep, honestly, by the time that we know who wins the HOH. Cameron needs to win and get Heisem out. Cameron. Do you think he would go for Heisem though? Because I thought Heisem was kind of cutting a deal with him. So I'm not sure if that would necessarily be Cameron's primary target. I wonder if Cameron would want like Izzy and Sari to go on the block. Maybe even Jared. I really don't have a read of what Cameron's doing in this game either, because he was spending most of his time with his daughter. with his daughter, Riley. So I don't have a great read on what Cameron wants to do. I think Cameron's noms would be Jag and Blue. Really? Weren't they on his alliance though? The worst part is I might be asleep if they show it on live feeds, and I guess I'll have to wait until Sunday. There's always places to watch it, Edward. I don't know if you use Twitter. I was barely using Twitter, and I basically just started using Twitter consistently just during the Big Brother season, just to keep up with Big Brother. People post the clips as soon as they come on. So I wake up in the morning. If if the feeds happen to be off for too long for me to be able to see whatever I want to see, I wake up in the morning and go to like 3, 4 of my Twitter pages that post the video clips, and I find out there. And then if you have a Paramount Plus account, you can actually rewind the feeds. So sometimes I do that too. I don't do that as often as other people, but for instance, I wanted to see that Blue and Jared conversation in its entirety because I like having context. Sometimes, I mean, I do the same thing. I post like the quotable stuff to get the what's it called? To get the views up. But sometimes you'll just hear like one sentence, and the one sentence might be part of a very long 45-minute conversation with lots of game gems and context dropped in there. So occasionally I do go back and watch certain conversations on the live feeds. Last year I didn't even know that you could do that because I was watching the live feeds on my Paramount Plus app on the TV. So I was only catching things as I caught them. And I wasn't really on Twitter. So I would come on here and people were like, "Oh, Kyle's going home," or "This person is going home. This is happening. This is happening." And I'm like, "Do y'all have this thing on all day?" Not realizing people supplement their live watching with following Twitter accounts, TikTok accounts, and also going and watching on the computer and rewinding back to certain points so they can see what happened. I am going pretty shortly. What time is it? It's 12:11 my time, so probably about 5 to 10 more minutes because the feeds aren't on. There's nothing really new I can give you. Been on here for a good hour. And I got to work in the morning. Just because they campaigned so hard against him. Does he know that they campaigned hard? Oh, I guess he does. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right. He knows that they campaigned hard against him. Everybody knows that. They made no secret about that. Cameron seems to like Jared. I'm he does seem to like Jared, but I'm just so unsure about Cameron. Like I can't read the guy. He's a guy I can't read. Just like Jag. Jag, if I was in the house, right? People that would worry me the most in the house. Cameron, I mean, of course, aside from the obvious Heisem, but like Cameron, Corey, Jag, America, um, people who just don't give you much. You're like, they're in the room. They're always part of these conversations, but where are they leaning towards? What's your angle? I have a hard time working with people who, if I'm having a conversation with them and I'm being genuine, I'm thinking in my head, what is their angle? America is someone I definitely get that vibe from. Like, what, like, what are you even doing sitting in this room? Yeah, you can. Yeah, you can rewind the feeds. Yep. If you watch it on your computer and you open it on your computer, let me show you. I hope this little 2 seconds doesn't mess me up. I hope this little 2 seconds doesn't mess me up. But I'm going to show you really quick. Share screen. Right. So right now, we got the cats on the feed, right? And you can actually just, okay, there was rabbits on the feed earlier. This is them sleeping. Like, you can go back to any time. And you can pick whatever camera. I'm going to take this right off, but I was just showing you that you're able to. What is BB viewer? I don't know what that is. Where are we at? There we go. I was still sharing. That was the problem. I always think of when it comes to certain people in the alliance, they're like backup actors. That's a funny way to look at it. What was so funny to me though was last night when I was watching the feeds and I was watching America and Mimi have this conversation, and I was like, oh, so America realizes that she's at the bottom of everybody's alliances and that nobody trusts her. Because when she was talking to Mimi, I'm like, she's smarter than I thought. She was like, you know, these people are just using us as extra numbers to like boost the decisions that they want to make, but then they're going to start knocking us off once the major players get out of here. So maybe me and you, and then we corral Corey and some of the other floaters, and we can get some things done. And I'm like, oh, you're playing the game? For real? I didn't know. BB Viewer is a Chrome extension that makes the live feed so much easier to use. You can pan the audio to the screens you want, and they have bookmarks for easy to catch up important combos. Interesting. I should look into that. Thank you. BB Viewer. Matter of fact, I'm going to make a note of that, and tomorrow I'm going to try and see if that helps me out. BB Viewer. All right, y'all. I am headed off of this thing. Thanks for joining me. What is tomorrow? Friday? Friday morning. Well, Friday morning, I'm going to be doing my challenge recap. But after I do my challenge recap, we'll know who the HOH is, and I'll be hopping on here to discuss the HOH. I think that they make their picks on Friday, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, we're going to know who the winner is tonight. Well, I'm not going to know because I'm going to be asleep when we finally know who won. But when I wake up in the morning, I'm going to check my Twitter. I'm going to know who won the HOH. And it's going to be for one interesting week once we know who won the HOH. Let me read these last few. Being at the bottom of the alliance or being a floater is not the worst thing because you're not at the top of anyone's hit list. And when the top people are out, you can make connections. True. Goodbye. Good night, Ashley. Good night, Mark. Thanks for talking Big Brother with us. Talk to you in the chats and on Retro's channel also, Justin. And everybody, have a great night. Have a good night, Milfman. Talk to y'all soon.
So you literally were one of my very first followers. And then when you followed me and I, followed back, I was like, this dude is cool. Like,
if they say talk to your manager, you just say, you know what, talk to the hand. You don't need to be on my podcast. But yeah, dude. Yeah, you do a great job.
Thank you. I always get a kick out of talking with you on Patreon. You have a really good, view on everything.
That wasn't planned.
You know what? But I like this Canadian.
Well, thank you.